I remember calling, multiple people and nobody picking up the phone because of what I was going through and what my lifestyle was at the time. I know I was too much. I know I was a lot. I knew that there were some deep things I needed to work on, and it was really too much for anybody to that could really support. But I leaned into Allison. Again, the discussions that her and I had, I leaned into those supports. Um, I started having more conversations with my neighbor, and not just around the kids, but just getting to know them a little bit more and to build a more personal relationship with them. I was able to redevelop a better communication with my mom and my sister as my experiences up to that point have been, uh, difficult, and uh, I was able to re-engage them again, and they were able to be a big support.
When we were talking about building support networks and increasing his team and kind of shifting that responsibility, we used a lot of support network, kind of tools and talking about support networks in creative ways to get out of that kind of one track mindset. Because Robert was very much like, I don't have a person that's going to meet every single one of my needs. And so we just kind of got out of that frame of mind and got into the let's get creative with your support network and who can provide you with what different kinds of levels of support. The support network grid really helped Robert kind of look at that and see his support network in a different way.
I remember sitting down with Allison and having a piece of paper out and writing down, okay, so if we need, so who can you call if you're experiencing some urges for relapse, if you need some just emotional support. I remember sitting down with Allison and coming up with that list, and us, putting together a plan of when experiencing this, this is who you go to. And that's really where I think it had begun of me developing the understanding of my responsibilities as a parent is not only just keeping the children physically safe, but what safety actually means. Doesn't mean just physically, it means mentally and emotionally safe.
I incorporated the children's voice in building the support network by having those conversations with the children about their support network and who was around them in a more, age appropriate, child friendly way, utilizing things like saying, with his teenagers, like, who has your back? Who are you calling, when you're mad at your dad? Those kinds of things, like getting creative with them and how they think about their support network, and then sharing that with Robert and seeing who he was willing to bring in, which is where we incorporated grandma a lot because grandma was far and beyond on everyone's support network.
I was able to develop my core group, and then from there be able to branch out and to explore other avenues. So getting reconnected back with my church groups, friends from work, and people from NA, my sponsor, and I was able to develop a pretty core group of individuals that I knew that I can rely on and count on.
Bringing them in specifically on the child and family team meetings, having pre-meetings before, kind of talking about their role, and what was needed and what their level of support was going to be. Utilizing the support network to come in and just make Robert feel, not isolated, not alone. There was a village around him, which I think, throughout our time together, you expressed that you needed that. You needed
Yeah.
that sense of community, that sense of support, so that you could kind of keep going.
I learned, you know, to be transparent and to be open and not withdrawn and isolated. So I really began to put into practice uh, that transparency with others. And so that way, when I did need help or when they recognized that, hey, it looks like he might be needing help, they knew what questions to ask. And they were only able to do that because I was able to have these discussions with them and to share with what I was experiencing and to really develop that closeness with them. The work that we had done from back then and how it still impacts me today because I still have those same individuals, on that list. I still have my neighbor, even though she moved to Arizona, um, I can call her and I can share with her, anything that I'm experiencing, and I know I'll be able to get, you know, some some good advice, some direction, and those people are still on my list today. Those same individuals.
Using safety organized practice with Robert and his team allowed me to model the interactions that he needed to be having going forward with his informal support network and other formal supports, with his children and his interactions with their schooling and advocacy in different areas to meet the needs of his family. He was able to see that clearly in our child and family team meetings and in my interactions with him, that then he was able to do it himself.